Hi, my name is Borys, and in this video I'm going to show you how to write house tracks in the style of the Chainsmokers track called Don't Lie. We're going to go through key techniques of achieving a similar sound with Ableton 12. Before we get into the video, if you like what we are doing on this channel, make sure to subscribe. We've got more content about Ableton coming up. If you'd like to learn Live 12 with all the foundations of music production, check out our Beginner to Advanced Live 12 Start to Finish course. And the full project file with today's track is part of a brand new house pack, which is called Fun Times, which is linked in the description. Alright, so let's get started. By the way, this particular project file is called Needed. First, I'm going to play the original version, which uses Xverserum, and then we will take a look at a version made with just Ableton 12 devices. So let's take a listen to this 30-second fragment. Okay, and let's switch to the Ableton version. Just an important distinction, we are using a different technique in the drop synth, so this one sounds a bit different. In the original, it was all synthesized with Xverserum, and here we are playing a string sample, so that's why it can sound a bit different. So let's just play the Ableton version now. These are two completely different approaches towards the main synth, but the other synths and the drums, all of that stays the same. Let's get started from the basics. Let's just go through this project top to bottom. So first of all, we have some vocals, and the most prominent vocals here are in the intro. We've got this part. You know what I'm craving. Got me misbehaving for your love. You can hear it's got quite a lot of reverb, and all of that is happening on the return tracks. And this is a great technique. It just makes the entire project sound way more cohesive. We're routing different synths here as well. We've got multi-band dynamics, which is doing quite heavy compression here. Without it, you know what I'm craving. You know what I'm craving. So it's really compressed, but it gets way more powerful this way as well. And we are cutting some lows and boosting some highs, very standard processing here. We've got some echo on it as well, so it's drenched in all these reflections. We've got an Atmo pad, vocal pad playing in the background. Just a sample, also drenched in reverb, with some sidechain on. And then we've got a vocal pad. Obviously also the send effects are used, but especially this auto pan is doing a nice effect here. It's just panning the signal left and right according to this LFO right here. It's really great and adding a bit of stereo interest here. Obviously, sidechain compression. We're using the shaper as the sidechain device here is just linked to the gain of the utility. And this way we are getting a bit more of a clean signal, and we've got more options of customizing the shape of the sidechain. The vocals are quite minimal in this section. Let's take a look at the drums top to bottom now. First of all, we've got the kick drum. We've got a bit of a heavy yet short kick drum, which is going through overdrive and saturation, and that's just boosting some of the harmonics here. We are also using this filter to add this sort of ghost kick towards the end of this section, every 2 bars pretty much. And this is just adding some variation. Now we've got a clap as well. Very dry, no effects used here. We've got a hi-hat. some of these hits are actually one semitone higher. Also, to give it a bit of variation, we're using some subtle mid-side EQing here and extending the width, and also doing a bit of saturation on top. We've got a hi-hat loop playing with the hi-hat, the open hi-hat. So let's play both of these tracks. So it really fits rhythmically. Let's just solo the hi-hat loop. It's fairly mono, but then we're extending the width. So it's adding these wide cymbal frequencies. We've got a ride, which is playing every 4 bars. Very short, with lots of compression on top and just the very high frequencies going through. We've got a snare roll, which is happening in the build-up section. Very robotic, but in this sort of old school style, it works quite well. Very short as well, but with opening up the filter, it adds these dynamics. And yeah, we're also just cutting some of the very lows, just some EQing and saturation on top. And towards the end of these sections as well, we've got some snare rolls. Let's take a look at the crash, just playing along the ride. These would be the drum tracks. Now let's take a look at the bass, and we're just going to be going through the Ableton version. I'm using Wavetable as the synth in this project. We are actually just using a simple sine wave here. But I'm doing a bit of a trick. I am just mapping the second envelope to the warp parameter of this sine wave, because you can see it changes the shape quite drastically and adds harmonics when we warp the sine wave. And this just gives us an alternate version of, let's say, using a square wave or a saw wave. It's a bit more subtle, and it works very well for bass lines. And also mapping the second envelope to the gain and to the filter frequency. On top, we've got some saturation and sidechain compression. And we're just using the soft clipper in the glue compressor towards the end. That would be the bass. Towards the main section, we've got a pluck, which sounds like this. And this plays alongside this bass line. It's quite a simple and similar sound. And on this track, we're using analog with a few effects on top. And let's just go through all of that's happening here. I'm just going to disable the effects for now. And let's listen to this track dry. So we've got two oscillators, a sine wave and a saw, and these are both going through the same filter. And this is quite simple, just an envelope added to the frequency. We have an auto filter just shaving off the highs. Then we have OTT, which is really squashing this sound. We've got mid-side EQ, and on the mids we are boosting the mid frequencies around 1K, and we are really boosting some resonances here. So we are making the mid frequencies really pronounced so that it works better with the bass line. On top, we've just got some reverb, which just adds a lot of space. All right, so that would be this pluck. Now in the second repeat of the drop section, we've got a pad as well, and it sounds like this. It's very, very simple. It's just a saw wave going through a low-pass filter, and we are using the classic unison mode here with 8 voices and some legacy chorus on top, which you can find in the core library, even in Ableton 12. Just 3 chords used in this progression, so it's really not complicated. And some of the notes of these chords are repeated in the grand piano over here, and the grand piano is mixed with the pad, so it's got a really nice bed underneath, and then the piano is the more audible part. The other tracks are just played in the build-up section. So we've got the piano. We've also got some additional synths here. but this all just works to support this piano. And let's just take a look at the main synth here, which is the main interest. In the original track, it's made with a bunch of layers of X4 And let me just play what these sound like. So we've got a lead. We've got some square wave pads underneath that. Another layer of chords. We've got some noise. And we've got a vocal sample playing alongside it. And in the original, we just have MIDI notes sequenced in the clip view. So that's how the notes are played here with the synths. But in the Ableton only version, I tried a different approach, and here we are using a gate. So, first of all, without this gate, our clips sound like this. So as you can hear, it's just a continuous pad. We've got the lower notes here. And we've got the melody playing on a separate track, which is a bit louder. And we've got also a synth playing in the background. But what this gate is doing, we've got this gate source track, which can be any synth. The sound doesn't matter here at all. You can use analog, you can use wavetable. It's just a matter of sequencing the right rhythm. In the gated group, we've got the gate device. We're choosing the gate source as the audio from. You can see that now our continuous chords will turn into this rhythm from the gate source track. And I am choosing a bit of a higher attack to give it a bit more of a dynamic feel. It would sound like this without it. Also, the sidechain is really working, so some of the hits are a bit quieter. So this is just a different technique of achieving this rhythm. So we've got a threshold, and anytime the signal from the gate source track exceeds this threshold, the gate just lets through our chords. And then when there's silence, for example right here, the gate just closes and we've got a release of 10 milliseconds. And yeah, this way we can create a rhythm from a continuous sound. So as for the sound design here on the individual tracks, this sample is actually a continuous strings sound. So if I play C3 now, I'll just turn off the sidechain for now. This is what the note sounds like. So for this note, I sampled the Cork Triton. I was trying to get a rompler sort of string sound. Yeah, for these old school type of tracks, it's a really nice technique. You can just take a continuous sound from some kind of sample-based keyboard, just sample that note. If you take a high enough note, you can sequence a few slightly lower notes playing at the same time. And so that's what I did. I sequenced this high C note, and then I am sequencing a few lower notes here. So, and also this one. I'm doing some processing on top, so just mid-side balance adjustments, EQing, saturation, and OTT on top. We've got a separate layer with the same processing, which is just louder, and it's the melody playing. And then we've got also the wavetable synth, which is just playing a saw wave with some reverb on top, and 3 voices of unison, and just EQing and OTT as well. And it's just going through 100% of the reverb, so it's just making it a pad instead of this rough saw wave sound. Let's turn the gate back on and fold this group, and let's play all of this once again from the start. Just the last thing I wanted to mention, in this section we've got a sort of build up with this string sound as well. We are just using this auto filter, just raising the frequency like this. That would be most of the processing on all of these tracks. Alright, I hope you'll find this video useful. Make sure to check out our Music Production Academy with start to finish courses on making tracks in various genres. And if you'd like to learn Live 12 with all the foundations of music production, check out the Beginner to Advanced Live 12 Start to Finish course. The full project file with today's track is part of the brand new house pack, which is called Fun Times, so it will also be linked in the description. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, write us a comment, and I will see you in the next ones.